Hi everybody, this is a short video explaining exercise 1.01 from the workbook. Before I start, I want to make a little bit of a push for the Adult Literacy League of Central Florida, ALL, Adult Literacy League. Allow me to show off my shirt here. If you can read this, help someone who can't. And you see the Adult Literacy League. So I mentioned this in this course because I know a lot of you are looking for places you might be able to volunteer and gain some experience teaching. For those who don't have some teaching experience or don't have a lot of teaching experience, the Adult Literacy League is a reputable organization and they always need volunteers. You just Google it, and if you need help, write me or write Dr. Permensky. She also knows about this organization, and we can help you get connected with them. So now let's turn to your workbook. So go ahead and open your workbook to exercise 1.01, and because it's the first time I'm doing this, let me explain something. Do you see in your book where it says exercise 1.01, distinguishing traditional English grammar, which means native speaker grammar, and ELL grammar? Then it says HB 1-15. HB means the handbook. It means the actual textbook, the handbook. So we have a handbook and a workbook. And HB 1-15 means that this exercise is connected to the handbook pages 1 through 15. All right? So whenever you find something in the workbook and you want to see where it is in the textbook, you can work that way. Or if you're in the handbook and you find something that's really difficult and you think, I need some practice with this before I go on to the next page. Suppose you're on page 37, you will probably not find HB 37 in the workbook, but you might find HB 30 to 42, something like that. Okay, what we're doing is we're going to look at these 14 sentences, and in each of the 14 sentences there's some kind of error. We're going to find the error. That's the first task. And then we're going to think for a minute, is this something that an ESL student or an EFL student, an English language learner, whether they're ESL or EFL, is going to make, or is it more likely to be a native speaker error? All right, number one, global warming could to harm our planet forever. We must to act. Could and must are verbs that we call modals. You should write that down if you don't know it. M, like Mary, O-D-A-L, modal. You can go look in the back of in the glossary in the back of your handbook if you need help with that right now, as some of you probably do. We will cover modals in depth later on, but these are modal verbs. And modal verbs are going to be followed by a second verb, right? I can eat, I should go, they must study. There's always a second verb. So these two verbs touch. Most verbs don't do that. Most verbs have the word to in the middle. Want to go, need to go, hope to go, wish to go, right? Going to eat. So because most verbs have a to, modal verbs are different. They don't have a to. Now, this is an ESL. This is an ELL kind of mistake. Native speakers don't make this kind of mistake. Number two, if you would have considered, ding, 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 this is wrong. If you had considered is correct English. So well, I hear people say this all the time. Good for you. It's common. Don't equate something being common with it being correct or incorrect, all right? But it is common if I would have known, if I had known. But if you would have considered more information, perhaps you would be working in a very different, if you had considered more information, perhaps you would be. So this is a native speaker mistake. ESL students don't get this wrong. Now, ESL students could mess this up, but they would be doing it much more randomly. This pattern is very native-like. Number three, the meeting began promptly in noon. Nope, it's at noon. We use in with months, in January, in February, or seasons, in spring, in winter, or in years, in 1995, in 2019. But we use at with clock time, at noon, at midnight, at 8:13. My flight for Seattle leaves at 12:16. It's at. So in noon, that's a non-native mistake. That's an ELL mistake. Number four, most historians agree that George Washington was great president. Was great president. We're missing the A. Was a great president. This is a very typical non-native mistake. It's an English language learner mistake made by people who speak languages that don't have an indefinite article. For those who don't know what that is, write that term down. Indefinite article, which means a or an. You can also consult the glossary for this term. We will cover all these later. But for example, Chinese, Japanese, Russian, Arabic, Polish, these languages don't have a word. Malay, these words don't, and many others, they don't have a word for a or an. So they will say, what is this? This is blue pen. Or, whoa, we have problem, not we have a problem. They don't have that word. This is a non-native mistake. Native speakers don't make this kind of mistake. Number 5, let's take them boxes. Oh my gosh, it hurts my ears already. Let's take those boxes. Them does not function as an adjective. Those boxes, these boxes, that's an adjective. It comes before it. But them, you can't say them people, them papers. That's a very native speaking mistake. All right, number 6, I don't think our decision will affect anyone. Effect, this effect, whether it's an E or an A, it's pronounced the same. You might say, well, I'm going to say the effect. No one really says that. You're forcing it here. So A is the verb and E is the noun. So the weather will affect you. That's an A. And what is the effect of the weather? Now, I'm super enunciating. I'm not speaking naturally. In natural English, they sound the same. So confusing the A and the E, a non-native speaker probably would not make that mistake because they would have learned how do you say the verb. They would have learned that. How do you say the noun? They would have learned that. Native speakers mess this up. It's a spelling mistake more than anything. But affect, something will affect you with an A, and what is the effect on me with an E? Number 7, when did you get married with him? Nope, when did you get married to him? So married with is very Spanish, very French, probably Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese. I'm guessing it's a Romance language, but it's not English. This is a non-native mistake. This is an ELL mistake. Number 8, the most important thing in the life is the friendship. So when I see this reminds me of an Arabic speaker, and also or a Spanish speaker could be. So in some languages, they tend, compared to English, they use the a lot more. So in English, we say something like, silence is golden. Silence, not the silence. We say silence. But in Spanish, for example, you would say the silence. Or friendship is really important to me. Nope, in Spanish, you can't. It has to be the friendship. And I'm guessing French would do the same. I'm guessing Arabic would do the same as well. Japanese wouldn't do that. Chinese wouldn't do that. Why? Because they have no articles whatsoever. The word the, if A and an are called the indefinite articles, then the word the is called the definite article. Now, the labels aren't the answer here, but we need labels to talk about this, and we'll talk about this later on. Chapter 2 will cover all of these terms for you. All right, so number 8 is an English language learner mistake. Number 9, the program that my company uses today to prevent consumer fraud was invented by Jonathan Spears and myself, and me. You don't use myself. You can only use myself if there's an I first. For example, today when I was shaving, I cut myself. Or I made this cake for you myself. But you can't say, here, this present is from Susan and myself. I hear it all the time from native speakers. This is not correct English. It's a native speaker mistake. It's me is the answer. It was invented by Jonathan. It was invented by me. It can't be myself because we don't have the word I in front of it. Number 10, Turkey is the place that I would like to visit it in the near future. This extra pronoun here, extra object, that's very common in Arabic and Farsi, F-A-R-S-I. Farsi is the language of Iran. Persian you might call it, but it's Farsi. But this is a non-native mistake. A native speaker would never make this mistake. It's an ELL mistake. Number 11, the police are not sure about when the accident happened. I hear this in ESL classes all the time. You can't say was happened. Something happened. Something occurred. But a lot of EFL students will say the accident happened at 9 o'clock. Remember, at 9 o'clock is at for clock time, right? Okay. At noon from our previous sentence there. Or in noon is our English language learner attempted there. But yeah, happened. This is an ESL mistake. There's no was or were with happened. It's just happened. Number 12. If you're not feeling well, then you should lay down. No. You should lie down for a little while. Lay and lie, big native speaker mistake. A lot of teachers don't even bother teaching it anymore, but I'm going to give you a shortcut for this. Lay is the past tense of lie. Every day when I'm tired, I lie down. Last night around 10 o'clock, I lay down. You might say, I don't say that. Well, that's part of the problem, okay? But in English, the verb, when you want to do it, is to lie down. I'm hungry. I see some food, and I do this. What's the verb? The verb is to eat. If you say, I'm going to lay down, that's past tense. after going to. That's weird. It's the equivalent of saying, I'm going to ate dinner. What? I'm going to studied. I'm going to drove. No, lay down is the past tense. Everybody remember this phrase. Oh, my, two people talking. The first one said, my head hurts. The second friend says, why don't you lay down is wrong. Why don't you lie down? Lie down is the action. Lay down is past tense. I know you don't hear it very much, which is why it's so difficult for a lot of people. But 12 is a native speaker mistake. 13, he was completely surprised. You should have saw his face. This is a native speaker mistake. You should have seen. After have, you can't say have saw. It's have seen. This is a native speaker mistake. ESL students, they might make that mistake for a short time when they're learning this verb tense, but once they learn it, it's over. They don't keep making the mistake unless they hang out with a lot of native speakers. This is a really bad mistake. Last one, number 14. There are kittens for sale at that house. Kitten apostrophe S. Apostrophe S is never the plural of a word. The plural of a word is you put an S on it. The kittens don't own anything here. The poor kittens are just being sold at someone's house, okay? So no, this is a native speaker mistake. I see the apostrophe S mistakes all the time. The answer is no apostrophe because no one is owning anything. I have one book, I have two books. It is not B-O-O-K apostrophe S. Books for sale, B-O-O-K apostrophe S. No ESL student would ever even dream or think about for a second of doing that. Okay, that's my short video for exercise 1.01. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can post them in the discussion for chapter 1 there, or just write it to me separately if you want. Good luck, everybody, with the rest of the exercises.